Going to be a quick video to remind you how to go through the steps of simplifying these balanced equations. And remember, we call them balanced equations because of that idea of the scale. Remember, we took it out in the class, and what we did to one side of that scale, in order to keep it balanced, we had to do the same thing to the other. So if we took one tile off one side, we had to take one off the opposite side. And this equal sign here in math is kind of like that balance, and it means that everything needs to stay equal to each other. So what I do to one side, I need to do to the other. Now remember, in this case, we're trying to actually figure out what number that x could be in order to make this statement up here true. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually work with these equations to do that. Now, if I want to get my x's over on this side of my equal sign, I need to get rid of the numbers that are here. And the way that I do that is I just do the opposite operation. So in this case, I've got 6x subtract 5. So the opposite of subtracting 5 is going to be adding 5. And of course, that's still going to equal my 2x plus 2. But whatever I do to one side of the equation, I also need to do the same thing to the opposite side. So you see I have the plus 5 on each side here. So in my next step here, what I want to do is I actually want to take the items that I have and I want to make them easier to deal with. So if I subtracted 5 and I added 5, that's really worth a 0. So I don't have to write that in. So the only thing that I have left on this side of the equation is going to be 6 x's, or 6 multiplied by x, our mystery number. On the other side, you'll notice that this plus 2 and plus 5, those are the like terms. They don't have any x's in them. So these two things are different than each other. So the 2x cannot combine with my 2 and plus 5. So I'm going to have 2x, because it stays the same. And if I add 2 to 5, I'm going to actually get a positive 7. So now what I want to do in the next step is I want to get my 2x over to the opposite side. And the way that I do that is if I had 2 x's, the opposite of positive 2 is going to be negative 2x. And of course, I still need to add my plus 7 because it's still there. So remember, what I have my 6 x's over here, but what I do to one side, my subtracting 2x, I need to do over here. So now I'm going to start simplifying these things again. So if I had 6 x's and I took 2 of them away, I would have 4 x's left. Or another way of looking at that is 6 subtract 2. And on my other side, well, the whole idea here was to get rid of my 2x. And well, if we look at it, if I had 2 of something and I took 2 of them away, I wouldn't have anything left. So again, that's worth 0. And the only thing left on that side is going to be my plus 7. So in this case, what I have now is I have 4 x's give me 7. I want to figure out what 1 x is worth. So if you think back to fractions, when you're looking at fractions, if you had, for instance, 3 over 3, that's worth 1. If I had 42 over 42, that's worth 1. So any number above itself or part of itself, if you have 4 parts of 4, it's worth 1. And this here, this 1x is worth 1x. So in order to get that, I would have to do 4 divided by 4. And of course, what I do to one side, I do to the other. So in this case, a single x is worth 7/4. And if I wanted to make that a decimal, it would be 1.75. Well, hopefully that's a good reminder for you of how to work with these equations. And remember, if you do have some questions, by all means, make sure that you're asking.